guys can see, she's part of that community. And she basically told these young ladies, which I'm going to do a separate video because those young ladies did an exclusive interview, and we're going to drop the video probably in a couple hours after this one come out. Now, this is the statement that was released by the Seattle Storm. They said, we are aware one of our co-owners made comments to two fans in attendance at last night's game. We apologize that this happened. Everyone who attends a Storm game deserves to feel welcome, and we remain committed.
This statement has become a major point of criticism because some people believe it focuses more on the situation than on the reported behavior itself. Critics argue that the organization apologized that the incident happened rather than directly apologizing for the alleged actions of its co-owner. In their view, the wording feels carefully written to acknowledge the controversy without clearly accepting responsibility. They believe a stronger response would have directly addressed the reported conduct and explained what actions, if any, would follow. The criticism is even stronger because reports say one of the fans involved was 16 years old. If those reports are accurate, many people believe the incident raises serious concerns about how young fans should be treated at professional sporting events. Commentators have pointed out that a teenager attending a basketball game should expect to enjoy the event without being involved in a confrontation with someone connected to team ownership. That is one reason the story has generated so much public attention. The Storm's statement also said that everyone attending its games deserves to feel welcome. While many agree with that message, critics argue that the organization's response must match those words. They believe that if fans, especially younger fans, leave feeling upset or uncomfortable after an incident involving someone in a leadership position, the organization should do more than issue a general statement. In their view, rebuilding trust requires clear communication, accountability where appropriate, and steps to help prevent similar incidents in the future. For many parents and fans, the controversy has become about more than a single event. It has raised broader questions about safety, respect, and how sports organizations respond when concerns are raised about the conduct of people in positions of authority. Many observers believe the way the Seattle Storm continues to handle the situation will play an important role in shaping public confidence in the organization going forward.
Okay, Percy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, is this the type of game, because they score so many points, because they were the league leaders and scoring, that you needed more offense or a little bit more defense?
I think we needed more defense.
Yeah.
I hope that scoring 95 is enough for us to win games. We needed to get stops.
Just following up on that, because I asked Natisha the same thing. She was saying you need to clean up some things defensively. Just what specifically does need work defensively? What was an issue tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started in the first quarter with transition. Cunningham getting open for threes, uncontested. She had 3 threes in the first quarter, and then that was it for the game. But that really hurt us.
This is where some people see a clear contrast in how different coaches handle difficult questions. The Seattle Storm's head coach answered a reporter's question about the anti-trans rally and the LGBTQ community directly. She spoke about working with Climate Pledge Arena and security to help ensure fans felt safe and welcome, and she explained the organization's approach to creating an inclusive environment. Rather than avoiding the topic, she addressed it openly. Some commentators have compared that response to Stephanie White's handling of a similar question in Connecticut. They argue that White chose not to engage with the issue, while the Storm coach provided a more detailed answer. Supporters of the Storm coach say that public figures in professional sports are often expected to address important issues affecting their teams and communities, even when the questions are uncomfortable or unrelated to the game itself. At the same time, critics argue that the Storm's public message about inclusion is being tested by the reported incident involving one of the team's co-owners and teenage fans. They believe that positive statements about creating a welcoming environment carry less weight if the organization does not respond strongly when concerns are raised about the conduct of someone connected to team ownership. In their view, public messaging and organizational actions should reflect the same values. As a result, many observers say the controversy is no longer just about one press conference or one incident. It has become a broader discussion about leadership, accountability, and whether an organization's public commitments are supported by its actions. Supporters of stronger accountability argue that trust is built not only through what leaders say, but also through how an organization responds when difficult situations arise.
Yeah, I mean, the players were, they're prideful and they were pissed at what we were doing defensively, and they did a good job, as they typically do, of turning the page, of moving on to the next play and digging deep and finding solutions and finding those in real time. We needed to find them earlier and do all of that earlier, but this group is really tough and they stay together and they do a really good job of just kind of continuing to battle and fight and claw to get back into games.
Coach, on that note, it did seem like in the second quarter there was a lot more energy when it came to getting those stops in the paint and also getting those second chance opportunities. Just how did you kind of see the team respond throughout the rest of the game after
Listen
that?
to how she explains the defensive performance. She doesn't say the team lacked effort or that the game plan was wrong. Instead, she says the problem was execution. The players knew what they were supposed to do: get back on defense in transition, locate shooters early, apply pressure to the ball, force deflections, and use their size and athletic ability. Those are the basic principles of defending a high-scoring offense, and the coach believes the plan itself was sound. At the same time, giving up 37 points in the first quarter naturally raises questions. Some observers argue that when a coach spends so much time discussing execution after a difficult start, it may suggest there were problems with focus or preparation in addition to mistakes on the court. Others would caution that a single poor quarter does not necessarily point to broader issues, since many factors can contribute to a team's defensive performance during a game. The timing of the game also drew attention. The team was dealing with reports of controversy involving a co-owner, protesters outside the arena, and media questions about the organization before tip-off. Some commentators have suggested that those off-court events could have created distractions for the players. While professional athletes are expected to stay focused despite outside noise, they are also people, and major controversies surrounding an organization can sometimes affect preparation or concentration. However, there is no direct evidence that those events caused the team's defensive struggles. That connection remains speculative. What is clear is that the Storm faced a challenging environment before the game, and the combination of on-court struggles and off-court controversy has led to increased scrutiny of the organization from fans and the media.
So, if I get this right, you're saying that, what is it that had you limit their shots? Are you saying the defense, it was the key in terms of that? I'm just trying to formulate a question here. You're saying that the defense was better
in the second quarter.
And what were those key things that made it better?
I think it was everything I just said, right? The ball pressure, trying to find them early, kill the break, get them in the half court, pressure the ball.
This
activity.
Response is a good example of experienced coaching. The coach is clearly frustrated with some of the officiating, but she stays calm and avoids saying anything that could lead to a fine. She admits that some calls were questionable, explains that the team communicated with the officials, and says they challenged the calls they could. At the same time, she makes it clear that she isn't going to pick up a technical foul just to prove a point. Instead of making herself the center of attention, she keeps the focus on the game and her players. One point she stresses is consistency. Many coaches say that consistency is more important than perfection because referees have to make difficult decisions in real time. What they want is for similar plays to be called the same way throughout the game. If a certain level of physical play is allowed early, they expect that standard to remain the same later in the game. If one type of foul is called on one end of the court, they expect the same standard on the other end as well. Overall, the coach delivers her message in a professional way. She stands up for her players, raises concerns about the officiating, and avoids creating unnecessary drama. She reminds her team that they still have to execute and compete no matter how the game is being called. Supporters of the organization argue this reflects strong leadership because it balances accountability with professionalism. Critics of the team's recent controversy have also pointed to this contrast, arguing that while the coaching staff presents the organization professionally, the reported actions involving a co-owner have created challenges that cannot be solved by good coaching alone.
Coach, there was an anti-trans rally before the game, inspired by a WNBA player. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community and in your workplace, what was your reaction knowing that this was happening right outside of your door?
Yeah, I mean, Seattle and this organization and Climate Pledge, we always want to be an area where people feel welcome coming into this building. I think we've always done a really good job with that. So I know our organization was, working closely with Climate Pledge and with security to just make sure that, everybody feels safe and included and welcome when they walk in this door. And from what I understand,
here's the question that really matters because it gets past the corporate statements and focuses on what this controversy says about the WNBA right now. A reporter asked about an anti-trans rally that took place outside the arena. It wasn't somewhere else in the city or a general political issue. It happened right outside the venue where the Seattle Storm play. The Storm's head coach answered the question directly. She explained that the organization worked with Climate Pledge Arena and security staff to help make sure everyone felt safe and welcome when attending a Storm game. She acknowledged the situation instead of avoiding it. She didn't dismiss the question or act like it shouldn't have been asked. Many people see that as an example of leadership addressing a difficult issue openly instead of ignoring it. Some people have compared that response to Stephanie White's handling of a similar question in Connecticut. Critics say she chose not to engage with the topic, creating an uncomfortable moment where many believed an important issue was left unanswered. Supporters of this comparison argue that the different responses reflect differences in how organizations handle difficult conversations and communicate their values. They believe actions during challenging moments often reveal more than public statements or marketing campaigns. However, critics also argue that the Seattle Storm's message about inclusion is now being questioned because of the reported incident involving one of the team's co-owners. They say that even if team leaders speak positively about safety, respect, and inclusion, those words lose credibility if people connected to the organization are accused of treating fans in a way that conflicts with those values. In their view, strong public statements must be supported by meaningful action. Many believe this is why the controversy continues to attract attention. They argue that an organization cannot simply promote inclusion through speeches or public campaigns. It also has to respond firmly when concerns are raised about the behavior of people within the organization. Otherwise, critics say the message begins to look more like public relations than a genuine commitment to the values being promoted.
The Seattle Storm is forced to respond to the negative headlines that has been coming out about their co-owner, basically going off on young fans. We're talking about teenage people that is more than likely under 21. But I want to say under 21. These young ladies are probably under 18 years old. And if I'm mom and dad, I'm telling you, I'm rubbing my hands together like Scrooge McDuck because I'm about to sue the draws off the Seattle Storm for harassment, defamation of character. It's so many different ways. If you guys watch this, get you a high-powered attorney, and I promise you got a free milli on the way. A free $1 million, because they gonna settle so fast. I wouldn't settle.
Let's look at what reportedly happened because the details are important. According to reports, a Seattle Storm co-owner confronted two young fans during a game. These were not adults causing problems or breaking any arena rules. One of the fans was confirmed to be just 16 years old. Witnesses said the interaction was much more than a simple request to be quiet. Several people described it as verbal harassment, with an adult in a position of power confronting teenagers who had every right to attend the game. If you were the parent of one of those teens, your focus would no longer be on basketball. You would be thinking about your child's experience, the embarrassment of being confronted in public, and whether the organization should be held responsible. The situation could create serious legal problems for the organization. Some legal experts might argue there could be claims related to harassment, emotional distress, or creating an unsafe environment for fans. Because the incident reportedly involved minors in a public venue and someone connected to team ownership, it has attracted even more attention. Critics say that simply apologizing that the incident happened is not enough. They believe the organization should clearly explain what actions, if any, are being taken and show that this kind of behavior will not be accepted in the future. Instead, the team released a general statement that acknowledged the incident without giving many details. Many people feel that response was more about limiting damage than accepting responsibility. They argue that real accountability would include explaining any consequences, apologizing directly to the families involved, and outlining steps to prevent similar situations from happening again. Without those actions, some fans believe the response does little to rebuild trust. Many supporters also worry about the message this sends. If fans believe someone connected to team ownership can confront people in the stands without meaningful consequences, they may question whether all fans are truly welcome. The WNBA has worked hard to grow its audience, especially among younger fans and families. Stories like this can damage that progress by making people wonder whether games are a safe and respectful environment for everyone. Some critics also point out that the Seattle Storm has often spoken publicly about inclusion, respect, LGBTQ rights, and creating welcoming spaces for all fans. Because of that, they believe the organization's response to this incident should reflect those same values. If someone connected to the team acts in a way that conflicts with those principles, they argue that strong accountability is necessary. Otherwise, the team's public messages about inclusion may appear inconsistent with its actions. Whether legal action is eventually taken remains to be seen, but the incident has already created negative publicity and sparked a larger debate about accountability within professional sports. Many believe this is an important moment for the Seattle Storm because the way the organization handles the situation could affect its reputation for years. Fans are asking whether the team will take stronger action, work directly with the affected families, and introduce new policies to prevent similar incidents in the future. Ultimately, many WNBA fans believe the families involved deserve more than a brief public statement. They want reassurance that everyone who attends a game, especially young fans, will be treated with respect. The Seattle Storm now faces an important decision. The organization can continue with its current response and hope the controversy fades, or it can take additional steps to address the concerns, rebuild trust, and demonstrate its commitment to creating a safe and welcoming environment for every fan.